To this day, car people still argue about John Milner's yellow 1932 Ford From. Some swear it's the greatest movie car ever filmed, the machine that ignited a generation of hot rod lust. Others insist it's overrated, a rough, imperfect backyard build that Hollywood accidentally turned into a shrine. Was it a true hot rod or just a cinematic costume? Was its fame earned or manufactured by nostalgia and myth? Let's peel back the layers of paint and Hollywood magic to uncover the real story behind the car that captured a generation's imagination. Bought cheap, chopped top. You know, when most people think about iconic movie cars, they imagine pristine, custom-built machines, hours of labor, high-dollar parts, and the kind of attention to detail that makes car enthusiasts drool. But here's the kicker. John Milner's legendary 32 Ford from American Graffiti. It wasn't some carefully planned Hollywood showpiece. Nope. Producer Gary Kurtz literally tracked down a rough backyard hot rod, a 5-window coupe that had already been chopped by 3 inches. That's right. This wasn't a fresh build from a master shop. It was a modest, lived-in hot rod, probably sitting in someone's garage, waiting for a teenager to tinker with it on weekends. And that's exactly what makes it so surprising. Think about it. The car went from humble beginnings, a small-time street rod, straight onto a big Hollywood set, and suddenly it became one of the most recognizable hot rods in history. The chopped top, which might have looked like a tiny detail to some, was the exact feature that gave the car its instantly cool, rebellious persona. The car that defined a generation of hot rod culture didn't start as a Hollywood star. It was discovered on a budget, practically by accident. Almost sold too soon. Here's a wild bit of Hollywood history. Right after filming Wrapped on American Graffiti, Universal Studios almost sold John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe. Can you imagine? The marketing team figured the movie would flop. And because the car was technically just a movie prop, they listed it for sale at a mere $1,500. That's pocket change for what would become one of the most famous hot rods of all time. Think about it. If Universal had followed through, the Milner Coupe might have vanished into someone's private garage, never to be celebrated by hot rod enthusiasts, never to appear in car shows, never to inspire generations of street-rodding fans. The car that is now iconic was almost discarded as just another piece of studio property. This story also gives you a peek behind the curtain of Hollywood decision-making. Even the people who were closest to the film, who had the car literally sitting in front of them, couldn't predict its future impact. What seemed like a small, expendable prop at the time became a cultural icon, cemented in hot rod lore, and beloved by both movie fans and car collectors. Sometimes, fame is less about intention and more about timing and luck. And in this case, Universal's near mistake made the Milner Coupe's survival story all the more remarkable. Cameras rode on car. Now, here's a behind-the-scenes trick that sounds almost too wild to believe. For the cruising scenes in American Graffiti, the production team didn't just film the car from the sidewalk or a separate vehicle. No, they actually welded removable platforms directly onto the Milner Coupe's frame so that the camera crew could ride along while the car was in motion. Yes, literally sitting in the car while filming close-ups of Paul Lamont and the other actors inside the cab. This was all done for practical reasons. The filmmakers wanted authentic in-car coverage for those iconic street cruising shots in Petaluma, California. Instead of relying solely on clever angles or green screens, which weren't really an option in 1972, they turned the car into a moving film rig. The platforms were removable, so they could be attached and detached depending on the shot, but the idea itself is astonishing when you think about it. A hot rod that's literally supporting multiple crew members on its frame, all while rolling down the street. Today we take high-tech rigs and drones for granted. Back then, safety standards were looser, and practical ingenuity ruled the day. That kind of hands-on, almost reckless innovation is exactly what helped make those cruising scenes feel so alive and immediate. Engine chosen for attitude. Here's a surprising twist about Milner's iconic 32 Ford. The engine wasn't chosen for historical accuracy. It was chosen purely for attitude. George Lucas wanted the car to look loud, aggressive, and rebellious on screen, and that meant the heart of the car had to scream personality, not authenticity. The production team dropped in a mid-1960s Chevrolet 327 small block, topped with a rare mana-free intake feeding multiple Rochester carbs, and finished it off with sprint-style external headers. It wasn't what a purist hot rodders would call period correct, but Lucas didn't care. Why is this so weird? Well, think about it. Most Hollywood films that feature classic cars obsess over historical accuracy, often rebuilding engines exactly as they would have been in the original era. Here, the filmmakers deliberately ignored that. They wanted the coupe to look and sound like it belonged on the streets, not in a museum. Every shot emphasizes the ragged exhaust and aggressive stance, making the engine a character in its own right. It's a fascinating example of how storytelling can outweigh authenticity, and it helped cement the Milner coupe's image as a raw, fearless street rod. The car's personality comes as much from its engine choices as its chopped top or yellow paint. Actor didn't drive scene. Here's one of those behind-the-scenes surprises that movie fans rarely hear about. For the climactic drag race in American Graffiti, Paul Le Mat, John Milner himself, didn't actually drive the car. Instead, the film's transportation manager, Henry Travers, took the wheel for the full sequence. Le Mat was present in the car for certain shots, but the high-speed, full-length drag run was all Travers. Why is this so unexpected? When you watch the movie, it feels completely seamless. You assume the actor is performing every high-stakes driving maneuver, but in reality, tight production schedules, lighting, and safety concerns meant that the studio trusted someone experienced with the car and the filming rig to handle the most critical shots. It's a reminder that classic film magic often relies on unseen professionals whose work goes unnoticed by the audience. What's fascinating is that even for a car as legendary as Milner's 32 Ford, the actor's presence behind the wheel wasn't as crucial as the planning and skill of the crew. The combination of practical filmmaking, stunt coordination, and clever camera angles created a believable performance, and the audience still believes Milner is racing down the streets of Petaluma at full tilt. Star car's double life. Here's a surprising twist. After its breakout role in American Graffiti, the Milner coupe didn't just retire into Hollywood history. While still in Universal's promotional rotation, the car was subcontracted to appear in another hot rod film, The California Kid. Not as a full-on starring role, mind you, but its gauges, engine shots, and certain mechanical details were filmed and reused, essentially making the Milner coupe a cinematic double agent of sorts. Think about it. This car is iconic, practically immortalized in hot rod culture, and yet it was treated like a working prop, swapped in for close-ups, filmed in another movie, and nobody batted an eye. Most people assume a famous movie car is preserved, pampered, and displayed. The fact that it doubled for another production shows just how fluid and utilitarian studio cars could be, even when destined to become legends. The same vehicle that defined a generation of car culture had a secret second life, quietly contributing to another film without fanfare. It's a reminder that behind the glamour of movie magic, even legendary cars are often tools for storytelling, subject to practicality and budget. Imperfections made it legendary. One of the things that makes John Milner's 32 Ford so fascinating is that it was never a flawless show car. Hot rod enthusiasts have long noticed the quirky, shop-built details: a tacky aluminum firewall cover, a shortened grille shell, slightly awkward fenders, and other bits that would make a traditional show car builder cringe. On paper, it might look like a rough or even amateurish build. The surprising part, those imperfections are exactly what give the car its charm. They helped sell the persona of Milner's hard-driven, street-smart character. Unlike a perfectly polished deuce sitting in a museum, this coupe looked lived in, aggressive, and ready to hit the street. Its flaws communicated attitude and authenticity, which was exactly what George Lucas and the filmmakers wanted for the story. In most collector or movie contexts, you'd expect the more pristine the build, the more revered it becomes. In the case of the Milner coupe, the opposite is true. Its rough edges made it believable, relatable, and ultimately iconic. Sometimes, character and personality outweigh perfection, and that lesson is stamped right into the metal of this legendary hot rod. Saved from vanishing history. After American Graffiti wrapped, John Milner's 32 Ford didn't immediately settle into permanent fame. The coupe changed hands a few times, moving from studio property to auction lots and private collectors. One early owner, Steve Fitch, held it briefly, But it wasn't until 1985 that the car found a long-term steward in Rick Figari, a Bay Area hot rod enthusiast who recognized its cultural and historical value. Figari entrusted Roy Brizzio's shop to make the car fully roadworthy, carefully preserving its unique character while ensuring it could be driven and displayed safely. The surprising part of this story lies in how close the car came to slipping quietly into obscurity. Without Figari's foresight and dedication, this legendary coupe might have ended up scattered in parts, lost to the general public, or relegated to a forgotten corner of some private collection. Instead, Figari helped secure its legacy, maintaining not just the physical car, but also its status as an icon of both hot rod culture and film history. To this day, he remains closely involved with its display, helping share its story with fans and enthusiasts around the world. Drama over period accuracy. One of the most fascinating aspects of John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe is how the filmmakers prioritized visual drama over historical accuracy. For American Graffiti, the production team made deliberate modifications that weren't strictly period correct. The grille shell was sectioned, motorcycle front fenders replaced the originals, aluminum headlight stanchions were added, and sprint-style external exhausts were fitted. Every choice was carefully considered to enhance the car's on-screen personality, giving it a more aggressive, streetwise presence that read immediately as cool to audiences. These modifications created a vehicle that wasn't a textbook example of a 1950s or early 1960s hot rod, but it communicated exactly what George Lucas wanted. A car that looked alive, lived in, and full of attitude. The way the car's proportions were subtly altered, combined with a mix of functional and stylistic touches, made it feel like it had been a real street machine rather than a polished movie prop. It's compelling to see how production design and car culture intersect here. Instead of chasing historical perfection, the filmmakers embraced the power of cinematic exaggeration, creating a hot rod that felt authentic in spirit rather than in strict fact. That decision helped cement the coupe's lasting influence and made it instantly recognizable to fans around the world. Most copied 32 ever. It's remarkable how John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe has left a permanent mark on hot rod culture, despite its rough edges and unpolished appearance. Unlike the sleek, flawless show cars you often see at concours events, this coupe was far from perfect. Odd fenders, a chopped grille, and a few quirky shop-built touches made it feel lived in rather than museum-ready. Yet somehow, that authenticity and on-screen charisma have made it one of the most copied 32 Fords in history. From model kits to full-scale tribute builds, countless replicas of Milner's coupe have appeared at car shows, in garages, and even in private collections. The car's influence extends beyond just being a movie prop. It has inspired a whole cottage industry of hot rod enthusiasts eager to capture that same rebellious, street-smart aesthetic. Its visual identity, more than technical perfection, is what drives this fascination, showing that cultural impact doesn't always follow conventional standards of craftsmanship. The Milner Coupe's legacy demonstrates how a car can achieve legendary status not because it's flawless, but because it connects emotionally with a community, capturing the spirit of an era in a way no other vehicle has. Its roughness, rather than being a flaw, is a feature that continues to inspire builders decades later. Lucas chose it personally. Here's a glimpse into George Lucas's hands-on approach to filmmaking. He personally helped select John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe for American Graffiti. Alongside producer Gary Kurtz, Lucas reviewed multiple candidate cars and ultimately chose this particular coupe because it already had a chopped top, the perfect visual cue for Milner's Street King persona. It wasn't about building a car from scratch. It was about finding one that already carried the authentic vibe of a lived-in, early 60s street rod. Lucas's own upbringing in Central California, surrounded by hot rods and cruising culture, heavily influenced this decision. He wanted a car that looked like it belonged to a real street racer, not a freshly polished movie prop. The choice of a pre-chopped top communicated attitude, toughness, and personality without needing extensive fabrication. Once the coupe was chosen, Henry Travers, the film's transportation manager, oversaw its conversion into the on-screen hot rod, blending practicality with cinematic flair. What makes this particularly fascinating is how much care went into matching character and car. The selection wasn't just about looks, it was about storytelling through design. The car's personality became an extension of John Milner himself, giving audiences a sense of authenticity that has endured for decades. Easter egg on Milner's plate. Here's a fun detail that only eagle-eyed fans might notice. The license plate on John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe in American Graffiti reads THX 138, and it's actually a subtle nod to George Lucas's early work. The prop department created this plate as an inside joke referencing Lucas's student film, OEHX 1138. That same letter and number combination has popped up in other Lucas productions over the years, including appearing on a Jeep in Apocalypse Now. This tiny Easter egg adds an extra layer of storytelling, connecting Milner's street-smart character and his legendary coupe to the broader creative universe Lucas was building. It shows how Lucas loved to weave personal references into his films, giving attentive viewers little hidden surprises to discover decades later. It also highlights how even a small detail, like a license plate, can carry meaning beyond its functional purpose. In a film already packed with cultural references, music, and period-specific cars, this little wink demonstrates Lucas's meticulousness and playful attention to detail. Interior dyed for persona. Here's a detail that shows how carefully the filmmakers crafted John Milner's character through every aspect of his car. The coupe's interior wasn't originally the all-black design we see on screen. Instead, it started as red and white tuck-and-roll Naugahyde, a classic style for hot rods of the era. For American Graffiti, the production team decided to dye the interior black, giving the cabin a tougher, more rebellious look that matched Milner's bad boy image. The color change was subtle but significant. The black interior contrasted sharply with the car's bright yellow exterior, reinforcing the character's street-smart persona and underlining the coupe's aggressive presence. Small choices like this show how filmmakers use visual cues to communicate personality without a single line of dialogue. The car doesn't just look fast, it looks dangerous, confident, and lived in, all thanks to decisions like changing the upholstery. Fans who only notice the exterior might never realize how the black interior helped solidify Milner's on-screen identity. By transforming a standard hot rod interior, the production team subtly enhanced the story, proving that sometimes color and texture carry as much narrative weight as speed or horsepower. Local shop-built hot rod. When it came time to turn John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe into the on-screen hot rod for American Graffiti, George Lucas and his team didn't send the car to a famous, high-profile custom shop. Instead, Henry Travers, the film's transportation manager, trailered the body to Bob Hamilton's local shop in Ignacio, Northern California. Hamilton and his crew handled the conversion, blending practical street rod modifications with the visual style Lucas wanted for the film. This approach allowed the filmmakers to maintain close oversight while supporting a smaller, skilled shop that could work efficiently and creatively on the coupe. The modifications included everything from the chopped top to the sprint-style headers, and the subtle tweaks that gave the car its aggressive on-screen personality. By choosing a local shop rather than a renowned custom house, the production could prioritize practicality and close collaboration over prestige, ensuring the car looked authentic and performed reliably for filming. The Milner Coupe became one of the most famous hot rods in film history, yet its transformation was done by a relatively small regional shop rather than a high-profile customizer. The choice underscores how ingenuity, attention to detail, and hands-on craftsmanship often outweigh name recognition when creating something truly iconic for the screen. Painted for movie legacy. One of the most iconic aspects of John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe is its striking canary yellow paint, a color that immediately grabs attention on screen. For American Graffiti, the car was painted in lacquer by Clos Orlandi's body and fender in San Rafael, giving it a vibrant, glossy finish that reflected the car's youthful energy and rebellious personality. The bright color helped Milner's coupe stand out among the other vehicles in the film, visually reinforcing its role as the ultimate street king. When it came time for the sequel, More American Graffiti, the coupe received a fresh coat in the same canary yellow, but this time in acrylic enamel. The change in paint type improved durability and made the car easier to maintain for filming and public appearances. Despite being the same color, the subtle difference in finish reflects both the evolution of automotive paint technology and the practical needs of keeping a cinematic icon looking pristine over time. Even something as seemingly simple as paint can play a key role in a car's personality and legacy. The choice of color, finish, and shop all contributed to making the Milner Coupe instantly recognizable, ensuring that decades later, it remains one of the most celebrated hot rods in movie history. Highboy style for impact. George Lucas had a very specific vision for John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe, and it went beyond just looking cool on screen. He insisted the car be built in a highboy style, meaning the body sat directly on the frame with no running boards, and requested bobbed rear fenders. This wasn't just a stylistic choice, it was a deliberate nod to the hot rodding culture of the era. The bobbed fenders subtly referenced the tensions between rodders and vehicle laws, which had been fading but were still part of the collective memory of car enthusiasts. By choosing the highboy design, Lucas emphasized the coupe's rebellious attitude. The sleek, minimalist silhouette made Milner's car feel agile, aggressive, and unmistakably streetwise. It reinforced the notion that this was a car built for action, not just show. The combination of body style and fender treatment gave the vehicle a visual punch that helped it stand out among the many cars cruising the streets of Petaluma, while also connecting with authentic hot rod culture. This attention to historical context in a subtle design choice highlights how much thought went into shaping Milner's persona through his car. The coupe wasn't just a prop, it was a storytelling device that communicated defiance, speed, and character without a single line of dialogue. Fame without show awards. John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe is one of the most recognizable hot rods in cinematic history, yet it's never been a major show award winner. While many legendary cars gain fame through concours trophies or national car show recognition, Milner's Coupe owes its iconic status to a different kind of charm. Its rough around the edges, authentic hot rod vibe. Writers and automotive press often highlight that its imperfections, quirky fenders, a sectioned grille, and shop-built touches helped define its character rather than detract from it. This unpolished look resonated with audiences because it perfectly embodied the street-smart, rebellious persona of John Milner. The car didn't need flawless paint or pristine panels to make an impact. It conveyed attitude and history and credibility. Unlike cars built solely for accolades, this coupe looked lived in and real, reflecting the way hot rods actually appeared on the streets of early 60s America. Its fame grew organically, fueled by on-screen charisma, nostalgia, and fan devotion, rather than formal recognition from judges. Milner's Deuce demonstrates that sometimes, the qualities that make a car memorable aren't those that win trophies. Its legacy shows how authenticity and cultural resonance can outweigh perfection in establishing a vehicle's enduring legend in both film and automotive history. Street-oriented drivetrain choice. One of the subtler details that makes John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe fascinating is its running gear. For both filming and later road use, the car was equipped with a Super T10 4-speed transmission paired with a 4.11 one-gear ratio in a 1957 Chevrolet rear end. This setup wasn't about winning drag races or breaking speed records. It was a practical, street-oriented drivetrain that balanced reliability, performance, and drivability for everyday cruising. The combination of the Super T10 4-speed and Chevy rear end was a common choice among hot rodders in the early 60s, giving the coupe strong acceleration without overcomplicating maintenance. This drivetrain also helped maintain the authentic feel of a real street car, rather than a show-only or track-only vehicle. It reinforced the car's lived-in personality, showing that performance could be achieved without sacrificing authenticity or practicality. Such a seemingly technical detail contributes so much to the coupe's cinematic and cultural impact. The drivetrain helped the car perform consistently during filming, especially for those iconic cruising and drag scenes, while also supporting decades of post-film appearances. In many ways, the mechanical choices made for this hot rod were just as important to its legacy as its bold paint and chopped top. Actor and car united. John Milner's 32 Ford Coupe didn't just stay on the big screen, it has had a life of its own at car shows, often alongside Paul Le Mat, the actor who portrayed Milner. Over the years, LaMotte has attended events such as Viva Las Vegas with the Coupe, creating a rare and memorable pairing where the character, the car, and the actor all converge in real life. These appearances allow fans to experience a tangible connection to the movie, seeing not just a prop, but a piece of cinematic and hot rod history in motion. The fact that the actor and the car travel together underscores the deep cultural resonance of both. While many famous movie cars are celebrated independently, the Milner Coupe and LaMotte together reinforce the car's identity as an extension of its character, blurring the line between fiction and reality. Enthusiasts can witness firsthand how a vehicle becomes more than metal and paint. It becomes an icon that embodies attitude, nostalgia, and storytelling. This collaboration highlights the enduring appeal of American Graffiti and the Milner Coupe. Decades after filming, the car remains a centerpiece of hot rod culture, while the actor's involvement keeps the connection to the film alive, proving that some cinematic legends extend far beyond the screen. Milner's legacy. And there you have it, the story of John Milner's iconic 32 Ford Coupe, a car that has captivated hot rod enthusiasts and movie fans for decades. From its humble beginnings as a cheap, chopped-top backyard rod to becoming the star of American Graffiti, this coupe's journey is full of surprises. Who would have thought that Universal almost sold it after filming, not realizing the cultural legend they were holding? Or that for some of the most memorable cruising scenes, the crew literally rode on welded-on platforms just to capture the perfect in-car shots. Beyond these cinematic quirks, the coupe's design choices, like its highboy style with bobbed rear fenders and rough around the edges shop-built details, gave it a rebellious personality that no polished show car could match. And decades later, the car continues to turn heads, sometimes even appearing alongside Paul LaMotte at car shows, a living testament to the enduring connection between actor, character, and machine. Milner's Deuce isn't just a movie car, it's a cultural icon, a symbol of authenticity, attitude, and hot rod ingenuity. Its story reminds us that legends aren't always perfect. They're unforgettable because of their quirks, their history, and the way they capture our imagination.